going to say that I saw Mitch Hyatt was actually blocking somebody on the goal line before Jordan scored. Jay Guillermo was down there. What does that say about these guys?
Well, I was asked a question afterward, and they're just they're a cohesive unit, man. They're having fun. Jay, I would say, is probably the leader up there. He keeps everybody fired up, very comical, but in a good way. And so I lean on him throughout the course of practice. All right, Jay, let's wake the guys up. And he's the vocal leader. And then you got McClain, who's playing his best football, who's a very vocal leader. Just a straight-laced guy, does everything by the book. It's just fun to watch those guys. And one of the cool things is we were able to give the entire offensive line the Player of the Game award for their accomplishments. Not just the first unit, but the second unit came in and played well.
You've had a couple of different stints here. Where does this offensive line rank in terms of how good they are, how physical they are?
It's hard to say, because when I was here as a player, I didn't pay as much attention to the offensive line because I was a receiver. I was worried about the secondary and defensive structure. But they're creating a new line of scrimmage for us. They're sound in their assignments. There's not a lot of mental busts. They're having fun. It's not always pretty as you want it, but it's effective. They're covering guys up, and then the backs are finding the creases. So it just looks like everybody's working together and on the same page.
Talk about the center position. It seems like you got a lot of guys in there to play the center position on Saturday that hadn't seen the field or weren't going to see the field anytime the rest of the year. What do you think you built there in depth with the center position?
Well, it's critical for Elliott to get in there and have some success. He's a guy that we're repping as a second-team center. Hopefully we'll get Norton back in the mix here pretty soon, coming off of injury. And then, it just builds confidence. It gives those guys an opportunity to get out there and play. And you're not talking about one or two plays. Those guys play multiple plays, and we didn't have any issues from a snap perspective. But it gives us flexibility because, it's a physical game, and you never know what play is going to happen when a guy's going to have to come out a couple plays, and that guy's got to be ready. So that experience was very valuable.
What made you? Did you intend going in to target Ray as much as you did, and at what point, what was it that made you think this would be his game to kind of feature him?
Well, Ray started with he had a great week of practice, and we've always had high expectations for Ray, but his execution in practice was at a different level. You could tell he was excited to go home, and it was just throughout the course of the game. Obviously the reverse was called. It wasn't a situation where we were looking specifically for Ray because Tay's just as good with the ball in his hand. It just kind of worked out that he was in there on the play calls. But we knew he was going to be excited to play, that he was going home, going to be in front of his some of his buddies. So we knew he was going to have a little bit of extra juice and just building confidence. But it started with the great week of practice that he had.
And in speaking, you talked about the center. We got the depth has begun to show some returns here a little past mid-season. Speak to that and how you see that helping as this team continues to evolve over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Well, the last half of the season is not going to get any easier. It starts this week. You got the number 3 ranked defense, total defense in the country that you got to go against. So getting those guys experience, and it started back with App State and Wofford. Being able to play those guys early to start them off, and it's big for Jake Fruit Morgan, who was out for a little bit of time with injury to make up some reps there. But I think it's going to be critical for our success down the stretch because obviously, we got some tough games coming up. You never know, and this is the part of the season where the physicality starts to wear on the guys. You're going to have some situations where the guys are going to get banged up. So it's critical that those guys are ready to play. And then they got to understand too that the standard doesn't change just because somebody comes out of the lineup. The second team, third team has to go out and produce just like the first team. So it's good to give those guys an opportunity to build confidence because that's what it comes down to. If they have the confidence to go in because they've done it, in similar situations, it keeps us rolling.
Tony, obviously people don't go down to Miami and do what you guys did on Saturday. Is part of this week trying to remind the guys, hey, it's not going to be that easy when we line up again on Saturday?
Well, going into the Miami game, I don't think the guys thought it was going to be that easy. And it was a combination of our guys were ready to play. They took the approach of trying to get us fired up prior to the game. So it was kind of a storm that all came together on those guys. But we know a couple years ago what happened to us up at NC State, so that's a reminder. But the biggest thing is focusing on Clemson and just remind our guys that Monday is Monday, Tuesday is Tuesday, and the reason that they've had success is because they've stuck to the plan. And we know that we got to prepare with purpose, effort with technique, and have an all-in commitment. So that's the message to our guys that it doesn't matter who we play. We're prepared and we respect every opponent, and we don't expect games to be easy, and especially out in practice. Practice is probably as tough as it gets. to prepare those guys. So the biggest thing is just staying true to who we are in our plan, our process in which we prepare with.
Looking ahead to NC State, Mike Rose is a monster. Darian Roseborough, the freshman's playing really well. They seem to be maybe a little bit more active than I've seen them in a few years along the front.
Correct. If you watch them compared to last year, you just look at interior-wise, they're a little bit lighter, a little bit quicker. Creating a little bit more disruption inside. You look at them on the edges, they look like they're a little bit more quick twitch. They're a little bit longer. They're playing faster. They're playing with a lot of confidence all the way around. They're confident in their secondary to where they can lock you up in man coverage and be able to load the box and have extra hats to stop the run. So, they're playing at a high level, got a lot of confidence, and they've earned, the ranking that they got when you cut on the tape.
Is this offensive line, has it exceeded y'all's expectations? I mean, you were optimistic going into the year about it, but are they better than you thought they would be at this point?
I'd say that's a fair assessment in terms of just the way that they're working together and the cohesiveness. We knew we had a lot of talent. We knew the influx of the freshmen was going to bring a lot of competition to the group. But just the way that they're communicating and everybody's on the same page, and they're seeing a lot of different things, especially when you prepare for Boston College. Man, they had an unbelievable exotic blitz package, and there weren't any situations in the game where we just turned guys loose for the most part. So just the thing that I'm surprised and pleased with is the fact that the young guys are able to pick up all the different things that they got to prepare for, because now it's not like it used to be where you're getting one defensive front or they're staying in one structure throughout the course of the game. I mean, every other play it's a different structure that they got to be prepared for, and it's a lot of communication that has to take place.